We're going to be speaking to SABC News reporter Dludla very shortly. He attended that conference, or rather that gathering at the Union Buildings, where Deputy President Paul Mashatile had addressed the families of 66 slain police officers who were commemorated. And of course, in attendance were the top brass of South Africa Police and as well as the families of those who had died in service. A little bit later on, we're going to be speaking about the South Africa AIDS Conference. Dr. Dludla, who is one of the interlocutors participating in this, will be talking to us about the strides made in this biannual conference that has become a staple and a mainstay on the South African health calendar, and of course shedding light not just for the country but for the world ahead. Of course, this is also Heritage Month. A little bit later on in the program, we're going to be speaking very specifically to the question of Heritage Month. We're going to be speaking in this hour to Larry Very, who's the National Commissioner for the Greater Aboriginal Community Council of Southern Africa. Big and important conversation coming up. You don't want to miss that. But first, let's take a look at your headlines. The Bishaw massacre of 1992 was marked by the families of the victims and the Eastern Cape government today. On the 33 years ago, the Ciskei Defence Force opened fire on unarmed protesters who were marching to demand an end to the military rule of Brigadier Oupa Khozo and to call for the incorporation of the then Ciskei back into South Africa. US President Donald Trump threatened to impose more tariffs on the European Union shortly after the bloc slapped a €2.95 billion fine on Google for violating anti-monopoly laws. And in your sports, the Bulls beat the Toyota Cheetahs 35-31 in their Currie Cup Premier Division match at Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria last night. But we lead with this. Police officers who have died in the line of duty in the last 12 months were remembered at the National Police Commemoration Day today at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. Deputy President Paul Mashatile, speaking on behalf of the President, was amongst those who joined families of the police officers and reservists who lost their lives in the line of duty. Mashatile says government will ensure that those who kill police officers face the harshest punishment permitted by law. SABC News reporter Dludla joins us now in studio. Calvin, I can't imagine that the mood was a joyous one. I would imagine that it was quite somber. Talk to us and take us into the heart of what the spirit in the air was like.
Good afternoon to you, Oliver Dixon, and to our SABC viewers at home. Yes, you are spot on. The mood was somber, sad, emotional. Earlier we spoke to Brigadier Atlenda Mate. She speaks for SABS. She did mention that this would be a very sad day for SABS, especially for the families. Yes, indeed. When the families came in, most of them were crying because they lost their family members in the line of duty. Most of them who spoke to SABC News saying that they do not believe what has happened. It's like a nightmare to them, because you would imagine you wake up in the morning, you go to work, and at home they will get a call that you are no more. So they died in the line of duty. But the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Paul Mashatile, did send condolences to the families, saying that they should be proud because those members died trying to protect the citizens of South Africa.
Yeah. Talk to us about how this event, which is an annual event on the national calendar, assists the families of those who have died in the line of duty.
You know, on the first Sunday of September, annually, the SABS commemorates the deceased South African Police Service members who died on duty. They normally invited them to Pretoria. They comfort them. They tell them that they have not forgotten about them. You'd remember that they start with those officers who died on duty from last year, if I'm not mistaken, in April, up until March this year. So they comfort them. They explain to them that their members died on duty and that they should feel proud about it. Also, they encourage them to keep communicating with the South African Police Service headquarters. They have chaplains. Chaplains are the ones who are more responsible for like social working and churches at the SAB. So they comfort them and give them counseling. And most of all, they assist their children with an education fund so that their children can be able to go to study further, because the person that was supposed to assist them is no more.
But of course, this year's event takes place during a time where there's a lot of controversy surrounding the integrity of the criminal justice system and the police, following, of course, the allegations made by Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, Dludla Mkhwanazi. General Mkhwanazi would have been in attendance, I would assume. But was there any tension in the air around these allegations, given the Matlanga commissions coming up, as well as the ad hoc committee in Parliament? Their work is set to begin soon as well. Did the Deputy President attempt to address that at all?
Even though there was no visible tension, but as journalists, that is what we were looking for.
Yeah.
That is what we tried to see. If that will happen, you would see the distance between Feroz Kachalia, the acting police minister, and Mkhwanazi. They were separated, I think, by almost like 6 people in between. So you would see that these 2 people were not talking. And even when people were starting to mingle, you would not find them talking to each other. And we tried to engage with General Mkhwanazi. He didn't want to take an interview from SABC, because I think he knew that amongst other questions, except the event of the day, we would want to ask about those 121 dockets. But we got an opportunity to engage with Feroz Kachalia earlier with, I think it was with at the agenda, and with Mxolisi. So he didn't want to tell us more, but he did tell us that there is no tension between him and the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masimula, saying that he was concerned about those dockets, because he wanted to know where are those dockets, are they safe, and he wanted the National Commissioner to engage him more on the dockets, saying that no, but now they have tried to resolve this issue and there's no tension between the 2 of them. Paul Mashatile on podium, he didn't even talk about that. He just spoke about the event, and you'd understand he doesn't want to involve himself in such matters.
Yeah. Just lastly, I mean, we're talking here about police officers that have died in the line of duty, trying to fight crime. But there must be questions around the safety of police officers in general, particularly looking at general rampant violent crime in South Africa. In what way did this commemoration address the general safety of police officers on duty?
Yeah, when we engaged General Fani Masimula on issues related to resources and the infrastructure, the South African Police Service, he did mention that at some point there are issues, there are challenges, because the number of people in South Africa, the population is much more higher than the police officers. We also spoke to the South African Policing Union. They also said that what they want from General Fani Masimula is that he needs to make sure that we have enough police officers, we have more boots on the ground, so that we can avoid such. You know, there are amongst the families that were there, there was a family who told us that their member went to a shopping center alone, off duty, and when that member saw that there was a hijacking that was taking place in that mall alone, he tried to confront those criminals. Unfortunately, they shot. He tried to shoot back, but unfortunately, he was alone. He did not have a backup, and unfortunately, he died. There are police officers. What was concerning more was that most of these police officers that died, Olivia, are constables. You would understand that in the police force, the first rank, you become a constable before you become a sergeant. So 10 of them out of 27, 10 of them are constables. I think 8 of them are sergeants, which means 18 of them are junior employees. That tells you, Olivia and the viewer at home, that those were new police officers, which means they were still new, trying to engage within the force, and unfortunately they died. But lastly, before I wrap, Paul Mashatile, the Deputy President, tried to also engage with the new recruits, the new constables, telling them that they should not be threatened by this, because they have to add more value within the subs. They should not be threatened that their colleagues are dying in the line of duty.
Yeah, Calvin, thank you so much for that report. Really do appreciate it. Calvin Dludla, SABC News reporter who attended that commemoration event at the Union Buildings.